I love viewers. My name is Apostle Helen Rudokino. This is Majesty Christian Television Network. We are coming to you this evening with a very interesting topic. So I will wish that you just relax and participate as this topic is being aired. Our topic today is on sexual abuse in the church. Taboo, eh? As an introduction, sexual abuse, also referred to as a molestation, is usually undesired sexual behavior by one person upon another. That's the definition. So it is often perpetrated using force or by taking advantage of another. So when force is immediate, of short duration, or infrequent, it is called sexual assault. So sexual abuse has become a scandalous thing in recent times. It is not a new phenomenon, although has been with us for ages. But the fact that the spotlight has been turned on it in the church circle make it raise eyebrows. So the church is supposed to be a place where trust, chastity, holiness, and the fear of God rules. But when people, even those in authority, practice the sexual abuse of minors, then it calls for an examination of what's really happening in front of and behind the scenes. So it is not something that is being practiced openly. It happens behind the scene. So our guest today is Mrs. Annet Alagbe-Speelberg. She is an ex-police officer, a pastor's wife, a coach, and a trainer. She has specialized in dealing with domestic and sexual abuse. So her interest is to help those who have become victims to be made whole. So help me once again welcome Mrs. Annet Alagbe to Majesty TV. Welcome, honey.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a privilege to have you.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. So viewers, please feel free to connect with us by calling the studio line on 020 3374 160, or you can WhatsApp us direct on 06 26 046 432. Remember, you can follow us live on the internet. Go to our Facebook and then connect live, Radio Voice of Niger. And then join us as it streams and make your commendations and make also your remarks. So this is the topic for today. It is very heavy, but I am sure that you are qualified to discuss it. So look into the camera and tell us exactly a simple definition of what sexual abuse is. What is it really?
Well, sexual abuse in the church we are talking about.
Yeah.
Of course, it is a criminal offense, a very serious criminal offense.
Okay.
You can get 4 years prison for it,
Okay.
and even 6 years if you are a leader in the church. But most and for all, sexual abuse is a misuse of trust and misuse of power. It always happens in relationships that are with a more powerful and powerless person.
Yeah.
And also often they are more dependent, either spiritually, emotionally, or financially from the people.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yes.
Oh, so you are saying that those who are often victims depend upon their superior emotionally, financially, and
It's for instance in a relationship where an elder is counseling somebody. Of course, there is a kind of bond that will develop.
Yeah.
And if you start a sexual relationship in that condition, you don't help the victim. Yeah, so even if the let's say it's a woman, sometimes it also happens to men, but let's say if the man if the counselee approaches the counselor, the counselor even should say no. He is the one who sets the borders, because it's always harmful in a counseling relationship to start a sexual relationship.
Exactly. So you are making us to understand that people who are in need can become very vulnerable.
Yes.
So in their vulnerability, we don't need to, despite how much we feel, we don't need to go, and begin to make some suggestions to them that we love them, we want to be involved in sexual act with them, even though we are counseling them. That's what you're saying.
We love them with the love of God, yeah, but not with our sexual appetite. Yeah, it is even in the Dutch law. If you are counseling somebody and you have sex with them, you can go to prison. So that is for psychologists, but also for pastors, of course.
Yeah.
It's the same. But I must say, imagine you fall in love with your counselee, then you can have a proper relationship, but the counseling will go to somebody else. But if an elder or a pastor will tell you, no, don't tell anybody, we have a secret, keep it secret, it's no good. It's no good.
Yeah.
And often what hurts me most, often Bible texts are used to manipulate the victims.
No, there's no way Bible texts can be used to manipulate somebody now into what we are discussing as sexual abuse.
Yes.
There's no way.
I know.
There's no way somebody can use.
God hates
but let me ask
God
you.
hates it. But you know, if you don't read the Bible yourself, you can easily be manipulated.
Yeah.
You see?
So who is manipulate? Who is really trying to manipulate to who here? Is it the one who is getting the counseling, or the counselor?
No. If you are a counselor,
Yes.
it's always your responsibility to keep the borders clean.
No matter how the other one desires you.
No matter what the other counselee wants,
Yes.
it's up to you to say no.
Oh.
And if you want a real relationship with this person, this counselee, then you have to stop the counseling and give the counseling to somebody else. If you want to have a real relationship with this person.
Yeah.
But nothing in secret, because that's not okay.
Oh.
And now I'm talking about the soft part of the sexual abuse. You of course also have people who are threatened, like we just read a terrible story in the newspapers from the evangelical church somewhere in the middle of Holland, where a foster kid was misused by an elder in their home. He was married and he misused the foster child.
Yeah.
And the church didn't react properly, like they most of the time don't react properly, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the fact is, do you think, from your experience, do you think that the church is aware of it and yet they didn't react? I mean, do you think a pastor or a church will be aware that there's sexual molestation going on somewhere within them and they don't react?
Okay, I have...
From your experience,
yes,
you're
from
an
my
expert.
experience.
Yes.
But also if you read the newspaper, you see how
I
it
do
goes.
read.
But every year I give training to about 50 pastors about domestic violence and sexual abuse. And one of the days is also about abuse in the church. And then I hear a lot of stories.
Yes.
Now, when sexual abuse happens in the church, the first reaction of the church most of the time is, oh, what a shame.
Yes, of course.
What a shame.
It is a
and
shame.
they want to hide the story. And in that process of hiding the story, they often forget to really help the victim. And one student has done investigation about women who were abused in the church, in different in all denominations.
Yes.
We can't say, okay, that is the dirty church. It happens in every kind of church, Protestant, Catholics, evangelical, everywhere. So 1 out of 30 women who were sexually abused, they stayed in the church. The other 29 left the church.
Yes.
So that means they did not get the help they really need. And I think your home needs to be safe, not speaking of the church, who is your spiritual home.
Yeah.
That home should be safe.
Exactly.
Very safe.
Very, 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 very. I believe
Yes.
that too.
Yes.
So, in this case, and from your experience, most of the people who have become victims of this sexual abuse in the church, are they women or are they men as well who have been abused?
Yeah, the cases that I heard in the training of the 50 pastors a year
Yeah.
are mainly, the victims are women. But we know from the Catholic Church, of course, that also a lot of young boys are abused.
Okay.
Yeah, so it happens from all sides.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
how really does it come? Because I'm very curious. How really does this sexual abuse come?
Well,
How
everywhere.
does it really come? Because why are women becoming more vulnerable as well? Why are they more victims?
Well, a man, most of the time, physically is stronger. So it's not so strange that women are more victims of sexual abuse than...
But I don't think they are being forced, because if they are being
Yes,
forced, it becomes
yes.
rape.
Yes.
They are not being
Sexual
forced.
abuse is rape, eh? Sexual abuse is rape. And I just started with the soft one. If it happens in a counseling, it's also very wrong.
Okay,
It's sexual
yes.
abuse.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
sexual abuse can also be rape or... I mean...
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
It can also be when it's violent.
Yes.
But when we begin to define it the way it is, it's like, okay, yeah, you didn't consent to it, and then somebody just forced
Yeah.
you.
I
and
can
then the
give one
person has
example that I had in the
raped
police. It was a young girl. She was 15 and she was raped for years by her father, who was a pastor.
Oh,
And she was praying and praying that it could stop, and it didn't stop. And
Jesus.
until she called the police. So for victims it's very difficult. For instance, for young people,
yeah,
for children, it's very difficult to get out, because if you live in a house or you are
young
in,
adults.
yes, young adults, also children. It happens to children
Ah,
from babies on. Yeah, babies are also misused. But let's talk. If children grow up in such a situation,
uh-huh.
they might even think it's normal, until they grow up and then they realize something is wrong. Yeah, so until they go to the police, then it stopped. It was a very terrible case, and the perpetrator, he didn't want to confess.
Yeah,
But the girl was damaged very much in her interior. So something must have happened, and finally I confront him that he was a pastor, and because I'm a Christian I could also
yes.
bring some Bible texts. He started crying, he started asking for forgiveness to God, but when I asked him to ask forgiveness to his daughter,
Yes.
he said, no, I'm the boss, I'm the father. So I said, okay,
This wickedness.
then you go back to your prison.
Exactly.
And that's the nice thing of the police, you have the power to do something.
Yeah.
Of course, you can also call Veilig Thuis, but if you call Veilig Thuis, often help will be arranged.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is good, but
Yeah.
in some cases you really need the police to stop
So
it.
when you asked the father to go back to the prison, so how did the girl feel?
Yeah, I let him be in the prison until he asked forgiveness
Yes.
from his daughter.
Yes.
Because for the process of healing, it is very important that the perpetrator take all the responsibility of the deed.
Yes, exactly.
And
doesn't need
that is
to.
also in churches when an elder or a pastor seduces a woman or goes into a secret relationship.
Yeah.
He has to take fully responsibility
Exactly.
for the case.
Yes.
And that will help the victim to overcome. It's
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
But to start the healing process.
So
Let's put it like that.
when you are saying to us that they have to take full responsibility, what are you suggesting?
The full responsibility, for instance, if an elder in the church, he has a ministry, yeah. Often, how churches do it, they make the perpetrator say sorry, and he also feels sorry. But you have to find out if it is a social sorry because now he is been appointed as a predator. Hoe zeg je dat ook weer?
As a predicant, yes, as a pastor,
He
or
has
as
been-
an elder. He has been ordained.
No, as a molester. He has been. Yes.
Oh, okay, predator.
So he and then he can feel sorry because his family will know, the church will know. But what I want to know if he is really sorry for the victim, and that needs time. So this elder has to go out of ministry at least for 1 year to see if. Because we need repentance in this case, not just say sorry.
Yes.
And we need repentance that we can
I
see.
buy that idea too.
That we can see he really changed his behavior.
Exactly.
Because too often, I had a case with these 50 pastors. They bring it in and they said, okay, after 6 weeks, the elder was brought back into ministry, and the victim was also in the church, sitting in the same benches in the same church.
Yeah.
And of course, the victim left the church because he didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very important that churches don't try to hide these things out of shame for the church name, but think of the victim where it has gone through, and take also, bring things in the light. I always say where the light is, there cannot be darkness.
Exactly. Now, permit me, Sister Annet, this abuse, this sexual abuse we are talking about in the church, are you talking about the modern day Pentecostal church, or you are still looking at maybe the Catholic, the Protestants and the Catholic church?
No, the pastors that I've been training came mainly from immigrant churches.
Really?
Yes, because my husband is an immigrant pastor.
Exactly,
so, and
yes.
I see a lot of things happening in churches. So about 50 pastors I trained from immigrant churches. And there were stories from youth workers who took advantage of their position and make a girl pregnant from 15 years old. And even the parents tried to cover it up because they felt ashamed.
Exactly.
But that should not be, because a perpetrator, as long as he's not caught, he will continue.
Yes.
And that is my worry.
Yes.
I mean, there is a dark number of
this is,
let's say 7 to 10, if 10 cases happen, 7 girls or victims will not go to the police.
Exactly.
Out of shame.
Yeah.
So you can imagine if one case come out, he might have done it 7 times more.
Yes.
You see, and that is my worry.
Yes.
Don't think just about yourself.
Exactly.
Bring it in the light.
Yeah.
And
because the shame is that if they will bring it to the light, then they will be first stigmatized. That girl has been raped. Because they are stigmatized, so they feel nobody will want them anymore in the society.
Yes.
Okay? So because of that stigmatization...
In the African society.
In the African society. So but because
not in the Dutch society.
No, because what you said is that your findings are based on the migrant churches. So we are talking about migrant church here.
But she doesn't need a man from... She can look further than...
Exactly, but
if somebody doesn't want you because you are raped, don't go for that man.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look for another man.
Exactly. You're making a very good point.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they have been stigmatized, and they have put up a wall, and they are thinking that without the person who have raped them, they can't do any other thing. And then without that environment, they cannot succeed. Exactly. But what you are saying boldly to somebody who may have been a victim is to look outside the box. You look outside the box. So if the environment you are in is not safe, you need to walk out of it.
Absolutely.
That's what we are saying here.
Absolutely.
You know, I am so shocked that this thing is happening in a civilized country, because if you were to be saying to me that when you travel to Africa, because you recently came back from Africa, if you were saying to me that, okay, hope you noticed that in some churches you visited, this or the pastors you trained in Africa, something like this came up, I would believe it. But I don't believe it that it's happening here.
Yes, but you know, everywhere where there is too much power on one person or on a group of people, it is there where it happens. So I would want to advise also churches not to put all the power with the pastor. Share the power with elders, deacons, because it happens always in a situation where there's too much difference of power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what you are saying to us is that though we have that hierarchy, we have it, and then where power is being dispatched, but it's like the pastor is the ultimate, is the final power.
Yes.
And so if he becomes a perpetrator, then nobody can go to him and say, Pastor, you are wrong.
I even heard once somebody saying, you should not touch je moet niet de gezalfde van des
Yeah, you
Heren.
must not touch the anointed.
Yes, you
And
must
you
not
must
touch the
not-
anointed. If he has done such a thing, he's not anointed anymore to me.
You
Yeah.
are very, you are very, very right. If he has
Yeah.
done such a thing, of course, somebody who is anointed cannot go to this level.
Yeah.
Yes. So otherwise, it's a counterfeit. If you are usurping your office as a man of God or woman of God, and then you lure them into sexual act, and then you make them to sleep with you without their consent, then you are not
Even
anointed.
with their consent.
With their consent? How can it be with their consent? If
Even
it's
with their consent, it's
if
not
it is
okay if it's in a
counseling relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that is your definition. Yes, even with their consent. And also, from biblical point of view, it is not right. Because sex is only allowed when you are in marriage.
Exactly.
Not when you are outside marriage. It's when you are in marriage, that is where sex is allowed.
Yes.
So anything you are doing outside the marital context is no more, it's not holy before God. And it's not allowed.
Exactly. And I also like to advise churches to, when they put somebody into ministry, to let them sign a kind of commitment with the rules of the church. And one of the rules is you don't have sex with people that you counsel or that you are a leader. You know, if you are a leader, you don't mess with your group. That should be a rule, and they should sign for it so that they know, okay, in this church there's zero tolerance on that in that area.
Exactly.
You see? And also, if it's possible, preach about these topics from the pulpit. Because if you touch this sexual abuse and domestic violence a few times a year from the pulpit, then the victims, but also the perpetrators, know that this pastor I can go when I have a problem. When I have a problem with domestic violence or sexual abuse, I can go to this pastor and talk about it.
You are right.
There are so many opportunities in the church. I mean, if a child is baptized,
Yeah.
or not baptized, but how do you call it?
Dedicated.
Dedicated.
Yes.
If a child is dedicated, you can talk about I mean, in so many houses there is not physical abuse, but there is
Verbal abuse.
emotional abuse or
Verbal
psychological and verbal abuse.
Yes.
A lot of shouting,
Mental.
bad names.
Yes,
And that
calling
is,
names.
if you ask children, I mean, I worked in the youth and rape department.
Jesus.
If you ask children, they even hate the psychological violence more than the physical.
Yes.
See, the physical is gone,
Yeah.
but if your mother or your stepmother or your father call you
Calling names.
stupid or you're no good, it will stay here very, very long.
Yes.
And so that are the things are very important, that pastors start talking about these topics.
It's
from
very,
the
very
pulpit.
important. It's
Yes.
very, very important because for me, I will not endorse any act of violence. Domestic violence should be exposed. So we don't say it's a culture thing. You slap her here, let her turn the other way, and you slap her again, or you bully her. You bully her because you think she's a woman. For me, I think violence is violence, and
Yes.
any act of violence must not be allowed and must
Yes.
not be tolerated in a marital context or in a family.
No, I mean the house should be safe.
The house must be safe,
Yeah.
both for the minors and the majors.
Yes, everybody should be able to be himself
Exactly,
in the house.
in a house.
Yeah,
That's a house.
Feel
yeah.
really
Yeah,
relaxed in
yeah.
the home.
But most of the time in the African house, when the father is coming, everybody's like,
Oh.
and then you wonder, is that, I mean, have you become a dragon?
That's a
You're
pity.
supposed to be a father.
It's a pity because one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit is joy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
joy should be in the home of a Christian, isn't it? Yes. So one time a pastor asked me for advice. He said he was counseling a woman who was beaten by the husband regularly.
Can you imagine?
Yes, but the wife, he want to counsel her because he knows about it, but the wife say, no, it's because he loves me. It's because he loves me. And the pastor asked me, how can I counsel this woman? I said, well, pastor, take your Bible.
Yes.
What is the definition of love?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anywhere in the Bible that when you love somebody, you beat him?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So give her the definition of love. Give the husband the definition of love. You have to counsel them. You cannot just think, okay, the woman agrees.
Yeah.
No, that's not good for the children too.
It is so terrible, honestly
Yes.
speaking, because in this 21st century, for a lady to still be beaten by so-called husband, it is very, very, very funny. Anyway, and sometimes some of them will say, yeah, when he touches you, because I was in a marriage ceremony, and then I heard that couple of times, you know, and then I had to stand up to ask, what do they really mean by, if you know you have married her now and you are not going back home, you are like a parcel. So if he touches you, you don't need to make noise. You don't need to do what modern women are doing, like you walk away from your relationship. You just have to endure. So I heard the first one, and I heard the second advisor came again to advise this couple. So the touching is always that is the man that must do the touching. You know what they were saying was that if he hits you because he is angry over one thing or the other, you don't need to report him anywhere. So my question then became, why would he even hit her? Why would we advise them? These are people who are entering. This is their first day in marriage. They have just been pronounced Mr. and Mrs. And then the first advice you are giving is if he hits her. So why must we be tolerating this sort of advice?
Not at all.
In this 21st century?
Not at all.
Why must it be the first thing we have to tell them? If he hits you, remember, you just need to know that, yeah, he hits you, very soon it will be over again, and then you still stay.
I don't say that you should divorce immediately, but if you are beaten in your home, if it's the wife or the children, you have to go to a safe place. I don't say you have to divorce, but you have to go to a safe place. And then you can iron it out. You can ask for help. And thank God the law in Holland nowadays is like this. Before, if there was domestic violence, the woman and the children will go to another safe place.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the perpetrator will be taken out of the home.
Yes, exactly. Then the children.
So that's much better. The wife and the children can stay at home. And the nice thing, if that can only be done by the police. So if you hear the neighbors beating each other again, don't think, oh, it's not my business, it's my neighbor. No, that little boy that has been beaten might be the boyfriend of your little girl later, and she will be beaten again.
Exactly.
So we all have to stop this terrible thing, domestic violence and sexual abuse. If you hear the beating going on, you have to call the police, because the police is the only one who can stop it.
Exactly.
And take the perpetrator out of the home. And the nice thing is that the perpetrator, the woman and the children separately get help from the first day. Normally you have a long waiting list.
Yeah.
But now if the police gets in, from the next day, 10 days long, they get help. And then they try to see, do they want to come back together?
Yeah.
Most of the time they really want to come back together.
Of course.
But they have to live differently and they get help.
I think they have to be taught domestic harmony. They have to be taught how to maintain a better home, because some of them grew up seeing their father and their mothers doing those things. And also, I think those who were giving advice to this newly wedded couple and telling them, if he hits you here, don't. I think they also experience that, because it's what you have, that's what you will give. Yeah. If I didn't experience it, my husband has never lifted his son one day to want to hit me. So I don't know how I will now go to newly wedded and then began to tell them this sort of instruction. Because for me, I think I will derive more joy in promoting that, you know, they are very happy with each other. They fall deeply in love with one another.
Thanks to God, I have never heard such a preaching. Because I think you don't need to look at your parents or your culture. We are Christians. We look
according to the standard of the Bible, yes.
And Jesus Christ was pure love. He didn't even beat children.
No.
He said, let the children come to me.
Yes.
And don't hinder them. I think we often hinder children to come to Christ. And that's why the churches have so little young people nowadays.
Well, somehow along the line as well, the Bible says we don't need to spare the rod and destroy the child. So I think spanking a child shouldn't be a very bad thing. That's to me, spanking a child, because there must be a place to spank a child when the child has done that, which is you talk to a child. If he's not responding to the talking, and then you try as much as you can to calm the child down, sit the child down, and then you are looking into his eyes and telling him what you've done is wrong. Do you understand? And if the child is still very, very stubborn, I think spanking can be used.
Yeah, you can think what you want, and you can raise your children how you like, but just know that in the Dutch law,
Yeah.
if you spank your children, it's a criminal offense.
I know that.
So you have to learn here in this society.
Yes.
You have to learn, and that is why we also give training to parents.
Yeah, to talk.
How to get your children there where you want them to have without spanking.
Without spanking.
Yes, and it's possible.
But let me tell you, Sister Annet, you have to be very real to yourself and be very real to our audience, because you know very well that there was a time I've also been with people in different groups where they were discussing about domestic violence, and then I found out that in the past 40 years ago, the Dutch parents were spanking their kids.
Yes.
So the Dutch law, they didn't just grow to this level. They have been evolving and growing, and now we are in the level where it's no more allowed to spank.
But we cannot make an exception for the African people.
No, we cannot.
In the Dutch law.
No, we cannot.
When I immigrate to Nigeria, I have to adjust to the Nigerian law. So that is why we give training for, and also it's a much more nice way to raise kids, because I can only speak from my own experience. We have 2 children of our own and 4 foster kids. Yeah. And we never needed to spank them. And I must honestly say, when they were small, I sometimes clapped their buttock. Yes, I did, because I was stressed and I was tired.
Oh, okay.
You see, most of the time parents slap the kids because they are tired or not patient enough. My husband is Nigerian. He never ever slapped the kids. He doesn't need to. Yeah. He can really talk calm with them. And you know, but when they were...
Well, that's the same thing I mean by
when they were older than 7, I never beat them. Never. I talk with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Older than 7. But I won't advise it even for small kids, because it's not necessary.
To be spanked.
No, it's not necessary.
To be spanked. Well, what we are saying here is that those who are busy trying to force women or force the other person into sexual acts should not be doing it, because it is not good.
It is not good.
It is one if somebody would do it to your own child, I don't know how you will feel, because I think it is not good.
I mean, personally, I was in the police. I saw a lot of crime, but I find sexual abuse one of the worst crimes in the world, because it's not only physical. It only harms the victim emotionally, even spiritually. Yeah. I mean, don't you think it has an impact on the fate of the victim if it happens in a church?
Yeah, because
it is a terrible. They have a terrible struggle.
I have heard many cases
with God, with the faith.
Yeah, I've heard many cases of women who were sexually abused in the church in Africa, and you know, they were abused without them knowing that they were abused, until I said that is sexual abuse. Because for you to go, some of them said they went for prayer meetings in the night, and then the pastor, whoever is in charge, tells them to sleep in a smaller room, and then an angel is going to come in the night and overshadow them. These are women who are looking for the fruit of the womb, okay? So they agreed. Yes. So in the night...
It's manipulation.
Exactly.
Pure manipulation.
So in the night, the person who overshadowed them wasn't the angel anymore. It's the same pastor they saw at the pulpit. So then my question to them was, why didn't you scream? Oh, because he heard my mouth. And then when you finished, you came out. So what happened? Did you become pregnant? No, you didn't become pregnant. Did you tell your husband? No, you didn't tell your husband. I said, that is wickedness. Do you understand? And so many have done, some of them will say they took them to places to go and bath them. Yeah. So in the process of bathing them, they raped them. Okay? So
very
to them, they still feel that it's a spiritual act. But then I'm wondering, what sort of spiritual act will make you, a woman, to go and undress yourself to a man that is not your husband? So because he said he's going to pray for you?
Yeah. We really have to realize that the perpetrators of sexual abuse many times are very good manipulators. There is really, all of them are great manipulators.
Yeah, but,
So you have to be careful.
but even if somebody is manipulating you to that act, are you foolish?
No, but
Somebody
not
would
everybody is
tell you to go and I want to bath you, because until I bath you, the demons in you cannot go out.
Yeah, well,
How?
I never blame the victim.
Really?
I don't blame the victim, never, ever.
How?
Because there is a big power difference. The woman doesn't, these women, I mean, they might not even be educated or whatever, and the pastor is educated.
Yeah.
Yeah? So there is a power difference.
Hmm.
So I never blame the victim.
Really?
Yeah?
But I think if somebody is out there listening to us now, and then you are in a church or you have gone to a spiritual, to get spiritual help, whereby the man on top is telling you now that you need to go and remove your clothes, and then they have to bath you in the middle of the night, I think you have to say no.
Yes,
Because
but
I think no matter the sort of spiritual help you are getting, and somebody who is not your husband wants to bath you, I think you have to say no.
I still want to emphasize that most victims who happen this to them, they feel so as afterwards they realize they've been, maybe they feel stupid, they feel ashamed.
Yeah.
But please, don't stay in the situation alone. Look for help.
Exactly.
You can always start new.
Yeah.
But don't blame the victim. Never ever.
But when we are in a place like this, the first world, then we have everything available for us. You can easily call the police. But please, can you project your mind to those who are not in the Western world? What is your advice to them? How are they supposed to contact the police? Because you will be calling police. Police may not be able to pick their phone.
Yes, yes,
Police
yes.
may be very far from the rural area where you are.
I know.
So what are they supposed to do?
Yes, I've been to Nigeria recently,
Yeah.
and I hear some terrible stories of women who have been raped and are even blamed by the husband. The husband left the raped woman because they blame her to walk in the night while she finished work in the night. I mean, you can't help it. And but there are some very good movements now also in Nigeria. What I saw
Okay.
really strong movements through the church against this domestic violence and sexual abuse. So they can always contact this kind of people. And before I forget it, for churches, the website www.restoredrelationships.org is very good. It's in English.
Yeah.
But there are about 80 Bible studies for young people, children, women, men, everybody. And there's a lot of information about these subjects, and the church can really learn from it and can use it in the preaching and the teaching. Before I forget it, restoredrelationships.org. Very good website.
Okay.
We can learn from it. It's from England, but even in Holland we are not that far, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So those who are victims can go to this restoredrelationship.org, and those who want to know more about this.
Yeah, in Africa, I would say try to contact these movements that are busy now in the church against sexual abuse and domestic violence, and find a safe place. Don't feel ashamed. It's not your fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how would we address the aspect of them being stigmatized in their locality? You know, because that is where the shame is.
Yes, I just find it very, very terrible. I myself, I cannot understand that somebody has no compassion for a victim of rape, which is one of the worst crimes you can have.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people don't have compassion for these
Even
women.
it is so worse, Sister Annet, because sometimes when the person becomes the victim, makes it very open, you know, even if she had been betrothed, engaged to be married.
Yeah.
Do you know that sometimes his family will tell their son, you can't marry that girl because she has been raped?
Yeah, yeah.
So, because of that, that's why the taboo
Then you have to be a man. If you really love this woman, you have to stand
the taboo
for
is
the
still
woman.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
So it is not as easy as what we are speaking here.
I know. Well, even here it is a big dark number. Even not every Dutch girl will go to the police.
Yeah.
Because she's afraid for the police or she doesn't know what is happening after she goes to the police, you know. But if you call Veilig Thuis, you can get a lot of information. You can ask all kind of questions, anonymous. So Veilig Thuis is a very good. It has a site and a telephone number, and yeah, if people want help, they can always call me.
Yeah,
no problem.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah?
Yes, it's good. Okay, then you will give your number as well to them.
Yes, they can call you.
Okay, then we can give the number.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, but to somebody who is just a novice, and who will want to know, how can they easily identify that they are in an unsafe environment?
How they can know?
Yeah, how can they easily spot it? How can they feel it? Is it that, how can they feel it in the atmosphere so that they don't need to stay more in that environment? They just have to do something, you know, before they are being abused.
Before they get married. It's very important that you watch your boyfriend before you get married. Because if they are extremely jealous, that's a sign that they can start violence later. Or if he tells you what to wear, how to behave. He doesn't. He tries to control you. Yes. Also to model you.
Yeah.
You cannot be yourself.
Exactly.
So
checks your telephone all the time to know those who have called you and those who didn't call you.
If you're full, he tells you how to cook, he tells you how to dress, he tells you how to behave. Then just run away, find another husband. You're old enough to know how to behave, how to wear clothes. That's a bad sign.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bad sign if he doesn't trust you. He doesn't give you the freedom.
Yeah.
And where there is love, there is no fear.
Exactly.
That is very very important to realize. Where there is love, there is no fear. So, but there are so many women also kept in the home. They can't even sometimes go to the shopping
mall.
Yeah, or even to the Bible study for the women. If I come for this topic only for women.
Yeah.
Some men keep the women home.
Yeah, because they don't want them to learn.
Exactly.
They think that they will open eye in a very wrong manner and begin to question them, you know.
That's why nowadays I only do it on Sundays.
Okay.
When everybody is there, men, women, children.
Yeah.
And I give the workship in the church.
Yeah.
Because then everybody is there.
Yeah.
And it's important if you realize if you are in an abusive relationship, if you don't feel free, you have all kind of psychosomatic complaints, something is wrong and you have to look for help.
Exactly.
Yes.
It doesn't. So when you are in an environment where the man is trying to dominate you, control you, dictate who you talk to and who you don't talk to, and he's monitoring all your phone to know the calls you've made, and then he's asking you who called you when in my absence, then that is a very big indication.
Yeah.
These are indications for us to know that it can get worse.
It gets worse
than
if you marry,
But
of course, we've only talking about victims who are female.
Yeah.
But of course, there are also some women who beat up their husbands and also talk very, very bad to their husband, and that is also painful.
Yeah, but then we are not talking about domestic violence, but our topic is on sexual abuse. So can also men, have you also had cases of men who were abused sexually?
Yes.
Can men be abused sexually?
Yeah, male can abuse male, of course.
Can female abuse?
Yes, it happened one time in a factory that a male was
handcuffed.
Yeah, handcuffed, and they start fumbling with him in a very rough way. So that is sexual abuse too.
Oh, women started doing that?
Yes, kind of punishment it was, but it is a sexual abuse.
Wow.
Yes. It happens also mothers who abuse their sons. Some women. I had a case of a woman who was an alcoholic, and when she was drunk, she took her teenager boy in the bed and watched pornography and had sex with him, which is of course sexual abuse.
It is.
It's called incest.
Yes, it's incest. Yeah.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a case I was reading in one of the magazines of a lady who after she had raised her son alone, she was too jealous to allow the adolescent young man to be dating a girl. So she said it would be over her dead body because she has invested much on the boy. So
Very selfish.
Yeah, they began to sleep together, and then they were now planning to get married. And the village said, this can never be.
It's
You
very,
see?
yeah.
So I was wondering, how could a woman get to this level
Yes.
of obsession, you know?
Yes.
Uh,
It happens.
of obsession. So I think mothers have to be very careful as well.
And fathers too.
And fathers as well. But it is most common among the men.
Yes.
The
of
fathers
course.
who, I mean, when we talk about the issue of sexual abuse, I think it's more common with the men.
Yes.
The fathers. Than the mothers.
And you have to watch your children. If they are afraid for somebody, or they don't want to kiss an uncle or an auntie, don't force them. Because
Exactly.
children feel very well. So don't force them, because then it means they have to obey. And if you have a bad boyfriend, they also obey.
Yeah.
Just watch your child. If she doesn't want to sit on the lap of somebody, don't force.
Yeah, I mean, it's so terrible, you know. I think those things we were doing them out of ignorance, but now I don't think people would allow their kids to, like an uncle, come and carry a child.
Yeah, you have to also not.
You know,
you
those
must
things
also
they did
not,
them out of ignorance before.
Yes, but you must watch them. If it's just a game,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to watch. That's it. Be vigilant.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, is it maybe because of your your work as an ex-police officer that made you're very curious into watching everything this way?
Yes, because once you have seen the effect of abuse on women and children, I never forget the cases I had in the police, and I made a commitment in my heart, wherever I go, I will do something about it. I did that in South America, and I still do it in Holland, because it's one of the worst crimes you can commit.
Yes. Yes. So, how successful have you been in trying to bring this information across? Is it well received among the migrant churches you visited?
Yes, when I have been to women's meeting, I've been to men's meetings.
Even among the women, are they open to
yes,
hearing it?
Yes, very open.
Okay.
Very open, yes. Very open. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's good.
And even children who come to me after the Sunday workshop, who tell me things, say, oh, now I know what my music teacher has done. It's not good.
Oh, really?
Yes. There was a boy who didn't want to go to piano classes, but his mother forced him because she had paid the classes.
Yeah.
But after my workshop on Sunday, the boy told his mom that the music teacher was always going with his hand in his t-shirt and going to his penis.
Oh,
and
no.
He didn't want to go there anymore, but he didn't dare to say it.
Yes.
When I say it, he was able to recognize it and talk about it. And fortunately, mother picked it up very well.
Yes.
She didn't start screaming, and because then the child will shut up, of course.
Yeah.
She listened very, very good, and she called me, and we find help for the boy.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, we make the piano man stop.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because because if this
because this man was visiting churches, and playing and having lessons with kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he must have abused so many kids then.
Exactly. Yes.
Ha.
So that's why I say bring it in the light.
It has to come to the light.
Yes.
Yes, it has to come to the light. Everything we are discussing, I think this very topic is going to help so many people out there. Even those who are in the most rural areas, they will get to hear one day that those people who have been telling them to come, I want to pray for you middle of the night, stay in one room, an angel is going to visit you. They have to know it's a lie now, you know.
Yes.
So if you go to if you go to a prayer environment and they are beginning to say something like this, just pick to your heels. Know that place is no more safe. If you go to a place where they are telling you they want to use so water and bath you, and this bathing is going to take place only by the man and you, who is not your husband, please, you have to pick to your heels and know that it's not a safe environment. If you're also in a place where a chorister, a choir master is now beginning to grab your breast, apart from training you, to have good voice, he's not telling you while he's trying to educate you to improve on your voice, on your voice. He's now putting hand in your breast to squeeze it. That's also abuse, isn't it?
Of course. Yes,
So those things
Yeah.
have to begin to come up now, and people's eyes are going to begin to open to know that if he has been squeezing you that way,
Slap them.
I mean, if it's if it's an adult and
Yeah.
an
Yeah, but
adolescent,
young people.
this-
It's
yeah,
terrible,
how
it's
are you
terrible.
going to do that?
Yes.
So they will be doing that and telling them, don't say, don't say, don't say.
Yeah, yeah.
So when a child is under such an oppression, the child will be, what do I call it? Paranoid.
Yes, and I
Is
want
that-
to emphasize that
Yeah.
many children,
Yeah.
they look for help, yeah, with an auntie or a Sunday school class teacher or whatever, and nobody really helps them. How alone will this child feel?
Yeah.
But I want to encourage children, young people, everybody, if you don't find the help you want, go to somebody else. Go to somebody else unless you find the right help.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't stop. There is somebody out there who can help you. Yeah?
So how can we prevent this from happening?
Yeah, first,
church.
in the
In the
church,
church.
in the church. Yeah, what I said is very important, that pastors start preaching about this topic.
Yes, that's number
The
one.
power should be
Yes.
shared.
Power should be shared.
The power should be shared. There should be attention for this kind of topics in the children ministry, in the young people's ministry, women's ministry, men's ministry, in the church on Sundays, with marriages, with dedication of the child. There are many opportunities where you can talk about this kind of
Yes,
topics,
I think
and then
so.
the perpetrator and the victim will know this is a pastor I can talk with, or I can share my heart. But at the same time, I want to say, if you're not raised
As a-
to counsel
Yes.
about these topics, please don't do, because many people have been damaged in the church
Yeah.
by counseling by the wrong person.
That
So
is
not
why.
every pastor or elder can counsel about this topic.
Yeah, that is also why it's important, because I've also heard some pastors always say they do not endorse or encourage counselors to just be one.
No.
You know, two counselors must be handling one topic, one person.
No,
Because
that's
because
not necessary.
no, they are saying, like, if a pastor wants to counsel a church member, there must be maybe a deaconess that will be there, because if you leave this pastor alone with this church member, if the church member comes in a very seductive clothes, suggestive clothes, so the pastor may not be able to, hold himself back.
then he should be fired. If he
Who-
can,
who-
if
who
the
should be
pastor,
fired?
If the pastor cannot hold himself, he should be fired.
But that is the reason why they have become vulnerable. That's why we are discussing the issue, because if they were not vulnerable, they wouldn't have gone to want to.
It's not vulnerable. It's selfishness.
Okay.
And misuse of power and misuse of trust.
And the
It's
one
not
that have come,
vulnerability.
and the one that have come with suggestive clothes,
Yeah.
who is almost naked, backwards and the frontwards,
Yeah.
the pastor will just sit and be looking.
I mean, look at Joseph in the Bible. Did he
Yeah.
not run away?
He ran away.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
then we all
when
know the
such
stories.
when such people come for counseling, you are saying that the pastor has to run away.
If he can't hold himself. I mean, if a man is there with naked legs and I don't run to him, is it? So why should he run to the woman? I don't see there any connection.
I don't understand.
If a man sit there, he comes to me
Yeah.
with his only his shorts.
Men don't do that.
No,
men
but
don't- men don't do that.
would
because
I run to him?
when we look at even the environment that we are in, we see that women are wearing every
You are
seductive
blaming
thing.
the victim, Sister Helen. That's very, very serious.
No, I'm not blaming. I'm just bringing out the issues in where they are.
No. Fire the pastor if he cannot handle him, if he cannot hold himself. He should read the Bible and look at the story of Joseph. Yeah?
So the story of Joseph is that Joseph ran away from Potiphar's wife.
Yeah, she tried to seduce him. He
Yeah,
ran away.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a real man.
Yeah. So what you are saying in essence is that immediately the pastor notices something like this, the pastor has to say, okay, sister, you know what? Can we shift this counseling till next week? Then the pastor can be safe.
Well, I find it strange because I've been in churches in all over the world, and in Brazil, for instance, all the girls go very with short things and
yeah.
shorts
And
to go
very
to church,
sleeveless,
and the
yeah.
pastor is not raping them. I mean, it's in the mind of the pastor. And if he can't handle the situation, I mean, why should you look at, if you are counseling somebody, why should you look at the body of the woman? Listen to what she's saying. Why should you look at her body? Look at her face.
Exactly.
If you can't handle it, sorry, you're not qualified to be a pastor. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, it's a very strong word.
Yes.
But sometimes, when you are not in their
shoes.
Yes, when you are not in their shoes, you don't know what is going on inside them. But on a very more serious note, I think what you are saying is right.
Yes.
Because
people have to be safe in the church.
We have to.
People have to be safe in the church, and if you can't, if you are the one who is blocking the safety, you have to get out. Simple.
Exactly. Okay. So what you are advocating is that it doesn't matter how people dress and they come.
Yes.
Any pastor who is in charge must be able to control, because that's why we have self-control anyway as part of the gift
one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit, self-control.
Fruit of the Spirit. So self-control. Yes. Thank you so much. So is there any other thing you want us to know regarding this topic?
There are so many things, but if churches want training about this subject, they're always welcome.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If pastors would want, or churches would want you to train them.
How to prevent it and how to handle it when it happens.
Yeah, how long does it take?
It depends. There are different questions and different trainings. So it's always what they want, and I just...
You tailor yourself to that.
Yes.
Okay. So those who are listening to us who may want Sister Annet to come and train your people regarding to domestic violence and also sexual abuse, I think that's a very good. These are very crucial
about prevention, and also when it happens, what do you do?
Yes, how they have to handle themselves when it happens, and also how to prevent people becoming victims. So you have to give a call to us, and then we can give your number to them.
Oh, my website. Yes.
Your website. Then can you mention it then? Yeah.
Yes. I mention it now?
Yeah, why not?
Info apenstaartje bureauspeelberg.nl.
Yeah, bureauspeelberg.com.
Info apenstaartje bureauspeelberg.nl.
Yeah, .nl. Info apenstaartje bureauspeelberg.nl.
And the website is www.bureauspeelberg.nl, so very easy.
Yeah, the Speelberg is spelled like Speelberg.
E-R-G, eh?
Yeah, yes, B-E-R-G.
Yeah, and bureau is B-U-R-E-A-U.
Yeah, yeah, that's bureau. So is it .org?
No. Bureauspeelberg.nl.
Yeah, .nl. I mean the website. The website is .nl as well, or .org.
Yes.
Okay.
.nl.
Yeah. So
but they can always phone you.
Otherwise, you just, in case you are struggling there, please just give us a call on 06 26 046 432, and then we will just inbox you the details of Sister Annet. Right. I think this topic is very interesting because something got to be done, to bring a stoppage to this sexual abuse in the church. It is evil.
Amen.
Sexual abuse in the society as well is evil. But now it's happening in the church is the worst.
Double.
It is the worst because people left their home to come to church, and the church must be a safe environment just like their homes are. Right. Do you have any other thing to say before we sign up? No?
No, I think we...
Yeah, you have enjoyed it?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity to...
Let me ask, do they need to pay something? Maybe somebody may be out there very curious. Do they need to pay something when they invite you?
For the workshops, yes.
Okay, for the workshop.
We can always figure that out.
That you can always negotiate, but that should not hinder anybody, because I think the information is qualitative, and it is something worth having anyway.
Yes, the prevention is the most important.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for being with us. and we
Okay.
think we have enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for your opportunity.
So, those of you who have listened to us, remember it has been 101 with Sister Annet on sexual abuse in the church. So, Google this time, go on our YouTube, download this message, and please share it. So, should you need her number or any of our contacts, please call us. If you didn't get it direct as we were trying to spell it, call us. We will be very, very pleased to give you the data so that you can just follow suit. Remember, this is the lofty wife of Pastor Moses Alagbe of Maranatha Transformation Church here in South East. So you can easily get her in case you need her or you need her for your ministry. You can easily get her. God richly bless you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.